And someone will just need to monitor the waiting room to make sure that folks are able to get in. Okay, can someone confirm that you can see my screen and also that myself, the ASL interpreters are pinned? Okay, wonderful. Well, welcome, bienvenidos. We are very excited to have everyone here today. I'm Carly Foster, and you are also joined by many other members of the project team, and they'll introduce themselves shortly. Just a quick note on translation services tonight. For American Sign Language interpretation, we have spotlit our interpreters. Please also feel free to pin the interpreter or other speakers at will. And if you do not see the closed captioning and would like to, please opt in by clicking closed captioning on the screen. Boone is going to drop in the chat instructions for folks to reach the Spanish translation. And I'm going to turn it over to Horacio now, also to let us know how to reach Spanish translation in Spanish. Horacio, we can't hear you. You're on mute. There you are.
Hello. Entonces, si desea escuchar la traducción en vivo en español, haga clic en el botón de interpretación que encuentra en la parte baja de su monitor.
Thank you. So as everyone takes a moment to get settled in, please update your name by hovering over your name in the participant window, clicking more and rename. Please provide your name and city, indicate Newark, Hoboken, Bayonne, Jersey City, Espanol, or ASL/whole region. That's going to help us determine your breakout. And if you are watching over live stream and want to join the breakouts, please go to the website linked on the next screen for access. So before we begin, please let us know in the chat, how did you hear about the meeting tonight? It's important for us to understand how people become aware about these meetings so that we know what works and doesn't work. And if you are viewing on live stream and want to join the breakouts, please go to the website listed below, https://NENJ-JUL28. We'll be sharing this link multiple times, and we'll also drop the link in the live streams on Facebook. So hopefully it will be easy for you to join the breakouts if you'd like to do that. So let's get started. We have some quick housekeeping items to take care of. So to ensure that we limit background noise, we ask that everyone remain on mute when not speaking. And if you've joined us by dialing in, you can mute and unmute yourself by pressing *6. I'd like to introduce Drew Curtis from Ironbound to share with us our meeting community guidelines.
Hey y'all, good afternoon. My name is Drew Curtis. I work for Ironbound Community Corporation in the city of Newark. I'm a steering committee member for this project. Just wanted to go over some guidelines that will help us have a great and productive meeting tonight too, and this afternoon. So 1, please remain on mute unless you're speaking. It'll help everyone hear each other better. And when the main presentation is happening, you can submit any questions you have in the chat, but please keep your video off to allow for ASL accessibility too. But in the breakouts, feel free and please, if you're able to, you can put on your camera too. We also want to use one mic, make sure there's only one person speaking. And if you wish to speak, you can either type the word stack in the chat or the raise hand feature on Zoom, which will allow the facilitator to call on you when it's time to. And please also acknowledge everyone's voice and time. Be respectful of different opinions and so forth. And if you find yourself speaking a lot, maybe step back and allow some of your other group mates to speak too. But vice versa too. If you're not speaking a lot, feel free to step up and speak. And then always speak from your own experience and use I statements too. And yeah, and most importantly, have fun tonight. Thank you. Back to you, Carly.
Thanks a lot, Drew. So the meeting today is going to happen in two parts. First, we're going to have a short upfront presentation. That should take about 20 minutes. And then the discussion sessions. And that's where we will break out to get your feedback. Throughout the upfront presentation, you can feel free to ask questions in the chat. Our team will make an effort to respond to the questions either in the chat directly or at the end of the presentation before the breakouts. And if there's any questions we don't get to during the meeting, we'll follow up with those responses if we can after the meeting. The meeting will actually end in the breakouts because some groups may finish at different paces. This upfront meeting is being recorded. This initial presentation is also being live streamed, and we will post these recordings to YouTube and our website. We will not be posting recordings of the breakouts publicly, but you can request them. So if you haven't already, please update your name by hovering over your name in the participant window, click more and rename, and then please indicate both your name and whether you are here for Newark, Hoboken, Bayonne, Jersey City, Espanol, or ASL/the whole region. We are going to have the American Sign Language interpretation in the whole region session. And if you're viewing on live stream and want to join the breakouts, please go to the link below, and we're also dropping that into the live streams. So what are we doing here? What is this project? So Resilient Northeastern New Jersey is a partnership between Jersey City, Newark, Hoboken, Bayonne, Hudson County, and the community-based organizations of Ironbound Community Corporation and Hope's Community Assistance Partnership. And representatives of those entities sit on the project steering committee. The project is funded and administered through New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, and it's further guided by a community advisory council. That council is comprised of a diverse group of residents from each municipality, some of which may be here tonight. And the council meets formally quarterly with collaboration in between, and they're a paid part of the project team. The consultant support consists of an interdisciplinary team of engineers, scientists, technology developers, and planners from the organizations listed on the bottom. And then additionally, we reach out actively to and integrate input from local community-based organizations. We reached out to over 65 organizations in advance of this meeting today. And we will be engaging actively with local, state, and federal agencies that can affect flood risk in the region. Also, input and decision support from community members like you are extremely critical to the project's success. So I'm going to take a moment to introduce members of the project team tonight. I'm going to stick with the members of the steering committee and council, and members of the consultant team can introduce themselves in our breakouts. So let us know your name and role or organization when I call on you. So I'll start with Yasmin.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Yasmin. I'm an environmental planner with the City of Hoboken.
Thank you. Kate?
Hello, I'm Kate Lawrence. I'm the Director of the Office of Sustainability for the City of Jersey City.
Evelyn?
Good evening. My name is Evelyn Mercado. I am the Director of Director of Community Programs for Hope's Cafe here in Hoboken.
You all met Drew Curtis from Ironbound a little bit earlier. Kevin?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Force. I'm a principal planner with the Hudson County Division of Planning.
Sue? Suzanne Mack? Okay, we'll move on to Andy.
Hi, everyone. Andy Reichel, marine engineer and City of Bayonne.
Thank you. Just looking to see if I'm missing anyone else. Caleb?
Hey, I'm Caleb Stratton. I'm Chief Resilience Officer with the City of Hoboken.
Thanks, Caleb. We also have representatives from NJDEP here tonight. Emily Goldstein.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Goldstein. I work with NJDEP. I'm a planner in their Bureau of Climate Resilience Planning Office.
Great. And I see Maria from ICC.
Hello, I'm Maria Lopez Nunez with Ironbound Community Corporation.
Wonderful. Have I missed anyone?
This is Meg Kavanaugh, also from DEP.
Oh, I'm sorry, Meg. I
okay.
missed your name. And do we have anyone from the Community Advisory Council tonight? Okay, and they might be having a hard time coming off mute. And folks can also introduce themselves during the breakout. So this is our second set of region-wide community meetings. Our first region-wide meetings took place on June 23rd, and we heard from participants about their vision for the community, experiences with flooding, priorities and factors for selecting flood reduction measures. And we're going to be dropping the link to the report out from those meetings in the chat. And if you missed those meetings, we encourage you to provide your feedback to the discussion questions through the feedback board linked in the report out. It is live. And Boone, if you can link to that as well, that would be helpful. The recording for that meeting also provides a bit more detail on what we're up to here, as well as how we're working to integrate equity throughout every stage of the project. We're going to be publishing a summary of what we've heard this spring and summer for you to look at and let us know if we've gotten it right. And right now we're beginning to transition our focus to flood risk and tools. We'll soon be completing a risk assessment using flood data to quantify current and future flood impacts through 2070. So that will include 2.4 feet of sea level rise and a 10% increase in precipitation. And based on the results of that assessment and discussions like the one we're having today, we're going to develop 3 alternative region-wide scenarios to improve flood resilience. Each scenario will have a variety of actions that may range in scale and level of detail available. We'll incorporate your feedback, conversations from other stakeholders, and technical evaluations to select a preferred scenario and develop that final action plan expected in May of 2022. And our next region-wide community meetings will be taking place in October to look at those potential scenarios. So today, we're going to take a journey together to explore what a regional planning process looks like and how decisions get made about where to focus your attention when working at such a large scale. And once you know where to focus your attention, how do you determine what types of solutions are most applicable and effective? And the information people have shared with us about their vision for the future is extremely useful to the planning process and that question of where to focus our attention, because we're looking at quite a large area. It helps identify the light in the distance, so to speak, that we should be working toward with the action plan. And we marry that information about vision and flooding experiences with data that we receive from the federal, state, and municipal governments about where they expect flooding to occur based on models and the latest science, as well as information about the built environment and what sort of projects or initiatives are already happening that any new plans will need to integrate into. We're not starting from scratch here. There's a lot of work that's already underway in the region. So one topic we'll be discussing in our breakout sessions today will be these existing projects and initiatives that are already being planned separately from Resilient Northeastern New Jersey. It's important for all of us to be familiar with those plans, to know and understand the context within which we're working, and so that the various plans can perhaps be tied together with the needle and thread that is Resilient Northeastern New Jersey. Understanding ongoing projects will also help expose potential gaps in those existing plans so that we can talk about and begin to understand how and whether those gaps make sense to be dealt with through the Resilient Northeastern New Jersey process. And if you want to see existing plan projects that we shared today move forward, we encourage you to contact your local and state elected officials to let them know these projects are important, as well as share about them with friends, neighbors, family, social media, and join meetings like these to ensure your voices are heard. So during our breakouts, we'll talk about flooding the region experienced from Elsa and other recent thunderstorms, looking to see whether that's different from what you've seen before. How deep was it? How bad? What did you do to prepare for or respond to the flooding? And based on what we share about what work is currently being done to address flooding, what are some things that you feel specifically are gaps? What is the most important thing for this plan to accomplish? During our first meeting, we introduced something that we call the Resilience Toolkit, and Mary Kimball's going to talk through that in a moment. And during that meeting, participants also shared their insight into which evaluation criteria or factors should be considered in selecting solutions for the challenges that the region faces. So in today's breakout sessions, we're going to take that one step further. We're going to actually walk through the planning process for specific sort of smaller areas of the region. And using that process, we're hoping that you'll be able to share what you feel are important considerations, what types of actions you want to see, and your input will help us further refine the evaluation criteria we walked through in our last meeting. It will also inform next steps in the specific areas that we're going to look at together today. So I'll turn it over to Mary to talk through the toolkit.
Great. Thanks, Carly. My name is Mary Kimball. I'm a resiliency planner with the Arcadis team, and I'll be talking to you about the toolkit. So at the last meeting, we introduced the concept of a toolkit, which is really it's a compilation of potential solutions that can be used to address flooding. And our toolkit includes different categories of solutions, physical and nature-based solutions, policy and governance, and individual and community-based actions. The toolkit, it's not intended to be inclusive of all potential solutions, but really just serve as a starting place to identify potential solutions based off examples from within the region and beyond, as well as from our own expertise and experience and research. So the physical and nature-based solutions, this includes green and grain infrastructure projects and changes to the physical environment that can reduce risk. We've broken down these solutions into 3 general approaches for how to manage flood risk. The first is to adapt to the presence of the water. This means floodwaters are not blocked, but actions are taken to either manage the water or reduce the impact of flooding on people and infrastructure. So this includes strategies like riparian management or modifying inland waterways to improve water flow, restoring shorelines to stabilize against erosion or buffer the forces of waves, stormwater management, and also elevating sites, facilities, or critical assets. The next category is to protect from the water. This means actually preventing floodwaters from inundating neighborhoods through coastal or riverine barriers, or floodproofing of individual sites or buildings to keep water out. And lastly, moving away from the water includes relocation or setting back from the areas of high flood risk. And we'll be going through more detail on these tools in the breakout sessions. So in addition to physical projects, policy and governance plays an important role in reducing flood risk by setting standards and guidelines for new development or creating or modifying governance programs to advance resiliency improvements. 2 examples from within this region are the Hoboken Resiliency Building Design Guidelines, which provide examples of how buildings can be adapted to be more flood resilient, and the Jersey City Flood Overlay Zone, which requires new development within the floodplain to incorporate grid infrastructure. And there, in addition to those governance and policy solutions, there's also many actions that can be advanced by individuals and community-based organizations, potentially in partnership with government entities, to reduce flood risk and to build the adaptive capacity of communities. And by adaptive capacity, we really mean the ability of a community to respond to flooding and climate changes and adapt to those changing conditions. One example is the concept of resilient hubs, which are neighborhood-based community centers that can provide resources on emergency preparedness, as well as other community services. Another example is workforce development, such as Newark Greenworks, that provides job training in addition to advancing and implementing resiliency projects. And then there's also examples from around the region of programs that work with businesses to give guidance on how to prepare for emergencies that can help make local economies more resilient. So all this is really just potential examples or examples of potential tools that we'll be looking at when developing the action plan. And you can help us advance that by, recommending things like that to us in the breakout groups. So once we're in the breakouts, we'll also walk through this decision tree or really a thought process for how we'll be collaborating with you on how to identify and evaluate potential tools. This starts with understanding the site context. Where is the site located in relation to water bodies? Is it on a coast or a river, or is it upland? And then relatedly, what is the flood hazard type that is there? The majority of this region is affected more by coastal storms and sea level rise than riverine flooding, but there are also areas impacted by stormwater and heavy rainfall. And this is important to understand in order to identify appropriate flood reduction strategies and which strategies are less applicable. And then also, what is the development context? Is it a large and open site with plenty of space for new infrastructure? Or is it, like most of this region, a very highly urban site with minimal space for interventions? And then based on this understanding, we then need to ask, what are our resilient goals for the site? Does it make sense to protect the site from flooding through barrier strategies like levee or berms? Or is there really not the space for that and we should focus on adapting to flooding of individual sites? Or are the risks so high and the adaptation options so slim that we need to consider relocation? And then as part of this, we also need to consider what co-benefits we desire. Is there a desire for improved waterfront access that can be advanced through a coastal levee? Is there an opportunity for ecological restoration that could be supported by edge stabilization? And then finally, we need to weigh a host of constraints and considerations about the potential solutions that may be applicable. This includes the level of disruption to the site, both during construction and after, as well as costs, permitting, feasibility, and governance questions. And what all of this means is that for a range of different sites across the region, we'll likely end up at very different places, at very different strategies, because the answers to all these questions will be different. And this is really the process that we'll be going through in order to develop the action plan, and that we're really beginning with you all tonight through walking through a range of these example sites in the breakout groups.
Thanks, Mary. And so before we begin, I just want to highlight some ways for you to continue to be involved. And we are still at the very early stages of this project. So I want to make it really clear that everything that we talk about today is not in any way finalized. You're being actively brought in at the early parts of our technical analysis. And that also means that there are going to be areas that we'll probably get it wrong. And we want you to tell us that. If so. So we've set up multiple ways that you can get in touch with us and share your feedback outside of these meetings. Our website, which is www.resilient.nj.gov/NENJ, is updated continuously throughout the project with our meeting information, reports, links to surveys, and contact information. You can engage with us on social media and feel free to reshare our posts. Our accounts are at Resilient NENJ on Facebook and Twitter, and at Resilient_NENJ on Instagram. You can also ask us questions via email or call us. And these are just the anytime engagement opportunities. We also have other mechanisms. So we encourage you to respond to our surveys. Those will be shared roughly quarterly as the project evolves, and we'll be releasing our summer survey soon. Also, if you'd like to, please respond to our spring survey that has questions on vision and flood experiences if you haven't already. We've also provided materials for you to conduct your own meetings about the project. They're available on the website and include both content and also a link where you can share feedback from your meetings. If you want to have a dinner at your home, meet friends at the park, have coffee, or hold a Zoom call, you can use the meeting materials that we provided or do it completely off the cuff. We are hoping that you'll talk about Resilient New Jersey and share your feedback from the meeting to the project team. And we're further developing our engagement strategies with each wave of the project. And so there'll always be opportunities for more meetings, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. So finally, I want to encourage you to download our IRIS app, which I'm going to very quickly demonstrate. This is an excellent way for you to provide feedback to us whenever it comes to you. As you're moving around your city, you can snap a photo or share a thought and post it. We share it with the project team and with the community. So this is a quick view of the app. I'm just going to start at the very beginning here. You log in. And you can find it both on anywhere that you can download apps for your phone. It's called IRIS, IRYS. Simply join the project. You can find our events and add them directly to your calendar. You can provide unsolicited feedback if you want by location, something I love. You can share pictures, things you want to stay the same, things you might want to change. You can share input by category, respond to surveys, and see information about the project. And then we'll always be releasing notifications as well. So once again, that's called the IRIS app, IRYS. All right, so we're about to move into breakouts. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that the region-wide Zoom or the region-wide room will also be zooming into a site. So the region-wide room is going to be really excellent for, state and federal agencies to join. Also, folks that are looking for ASL interpretation will also be in that room. But if you have any interest in any specific municipality, please select one of the municipalities. The region-wide Zoom is going to be also looking at, like I said, a specific site. So while we work on getting the breakout sessions finalized, we'd love to hear any questions you have about the project overall and what we've done so far. And like I said before, we're going to be sharing feedback from everything that we've heard from this meeting out. I'm just looking to see if we have any. And Megan, you can also let us know when we're ready to move into the breakouts.
I think we are ready, but have, if anyone needs to be sorted afterwards, we can do that through chat.
Okay, I also see Leah has raised her hand.
Hi, yeah, I just have a quick question. Is there somewhere on the website, and maybe I missed this, where I know you said you reached out already to 65 different organizations. Are the ones that you've already reached out to listed somewhere on that website?
They're not listed anywhere. I don't think. We haven't posted them.
Okay, because yeah, it would be cool to know like what organizations are involved and engaged in the conversation.
Okay. Yeah, we can. Okay, we can think about like the best way to do that. I think we also have email addresses from folks that reached out, have registered for the meeting, and so we may be able to talk to you directly. Okay, Megan, do you want to send us to anybody else before we go into our breakouts?
Just need 1 minute.
Just need 1 minute, okay. Actually, I'm going to share my screen again while we're doing that in case there's anybody on the live stream that wants to make sure that they're able to join the breakouts. Alan, I see you have a question.
Yes, I just downloaded Iris from the App Store, and I don't know what the next step is. It's not telling me what to do. Could you review that? It says nothing detected, and
you should be able to select Resilient Northeastern New Jersey.
Where does one select that? I don't see that. My Iris is taking a photo of my keyboard and says this may be a cellular telephone, this may be a ping pong ball. It's somewhat amusing, but I'm not getting to where I saw you.
Okay, IRYS, that's the app that you downloaded?
Yep.
Okay, All right, we'll circle back around with you on that.
Very
I may be
good.
able to go into a room with you and talk about it at some point.
I'll go into the region-wide room and we can talk there. Thank you.
Okay.
Can we just have Horacio do one more announcement to make sure that we've identified the Spanish speakers?
Claro que sí. Estamos a punto para todos aquellos participantes que hablan en español. Estamos a punto de dirigirnos a las discusiones de grupo pequeñas. Entonces, por favor, este es el momento en el cual se pueden identificar para unirse a los grupos pequeños en español y compartir sus comentarios. Pueden hacerlo a través del chat, escriban su nombre allí o bien cambien su nombre y elijan español al lado de su nombre.
Thank you, Horacio.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay. I think we are good to go. I'm going to stop live streaming and then send everyone. And if you get placed in a room where you did not intend to be, please reach out via chat.